Hey Ella, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's so nice to actually talk to somebody that you follow on Instagram. It's like my favorite thing.
I know, me too. It's the best.
So, I found Ella on Instagram, I think because of our Kundalini Yoga connection and also obviously
Mm-hmm.
Asian. And yeah, I like all of your posts. They're so beautiful and they resonate so much with me because I'm into Kundalini Yoga and mindset work. But let's start from the beginning. Where you live in Montreal, right?
Yeah, I do.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Vancouver, BC in Canada. So I was born and raised there. And then at 17 years old, I moved over to Montreal to go to school for university.
What did you study?
I studied business and management and specifically marketing, information systems, and international business because I knew since I was 17 or 18 that I really want to be a part of the digital marketing world. That was kind of around the time when Instagram started, Snapchat started, and I was really fascinated by the ways that brands were able to make me become obsessed fans
Mhm.
just through Instagram. I was like, this is really cool. I want to learn how to do the same thing to other people. So that's kind of what sparked my passion in business and digital marketing.
Mhm. That was not that long ago then, right?
No, that was in 2013 was when I started university.
Hmm. What did you think you wanted to do? Like, what was your dream?
My dream was actually to become a digital marketer, and I had a few companies that I wanted to work for. One of them was L'Oreal,
Mhm.
and then it was Lululemon. So it was really funny because I think that was probably my first ever big manifestation experience. It was actually pretty wild because I've always had such great clarity as to what I wanted to do. And so since I was 18, 19, I was like, I'm going to work at L'Oreal when I graduate. Didn't know how that was going to happen, but I started creating my vision board. I put up like Maybelline New York. That was my favorite makeup brand. I'm like, I'm going to work there in
Mhm.
digital marketing.
Mhm.
Lo and behold, within like 2.5 years after setting that intention, I literally got chills when I realized that, holy crap, that was my job. I became the digital specialist for Maybelline New York in Canada, and then also the digital manager. And I had looked back to my vision board, my goals and vision list, and I was like, wow, like I'm actually living my dream and doing what I wanted to do.
Okay, wow. I know there's like a lot of I know there's like a lot more that goes into that because um same like every time I've made a vision board, it's come true. So now my vision board is like so much more it's like insane what I put on my vision board because I'm like I
Mm-hmm.
thought it just being bigger, but there is more to that. So did you look at it every day? Did you say mantras to yourself? Like what was your practice?
Yeah, it's actually really interesting because back then I wasn't really aware of the self-development world yet. Like definitely spirituality was not in my world. I was like in very early stages of just understanding, like just even hearing about The Secret. So I think for me, I kind of approached it back then from a very practical goal setting approach. I focused on the vision. I really just believed that it was possible because I saw so many other people, getting similar positions. I'm like, I'm no different. That's totally possible for me. And from there, now in hindsight, I realized what I was doing was really listening to the intuitive guidance and taking steps and doing things, although back then it didn't really make sense.
Yeah.
So I was really lost in the process of just like, okay, this is where I want to get to. I've always been a very hardworking person. So I was always willing to go that extra mile to take that extra action step to get myself in front of HR, to really present myself as a personal brand. But it's really funny because I think now, just looking back, is that back then I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was just trusting every step of the way.
Hmm. Wow, that's amazing. It's almost like better sometimes that you don't know what you're doing because
Yeah.
like less resistance, you know? Um,
Yeah.
so when did you begin your spiritual journey? When did like the Kundalini start and this journey of yours?
Yeah, so it started the first time I kind of started dabbling into spirituality was actually when I began to become obsessed with Buddhism around 2015, June 2015. I started developing a meditation practice because up until that point, I've always been a very anxious person. Anxiety has been something that I've struggled with for a long time in my life. And it was just like one moment where I realized after coming back from a 4-month exchange in Europe and still very unhappy with my life, I was like, if I don't change, if I keep on doing the same thing, I will keep on getting the same results. It almost came as like a download for me. So I decided to start a meditation practice. And at the same time, although I was starting to do that, I still wasn't fully understanding what it meant to be mindful, what it meant to, trust in something bigger. So as I began, I would say the early stages of my spiritual journey, it was kind of like all the challenges, all the tests that could come up, came up. I got into a very toxic relationship where my ex-partner had cheated on me. I started working at L'Oreal about a year after that and got into very bad work anxiety. Imposter syndrome was basically like my every single day because I was basically the youngest person in the company to be doing the job that I was doing. I always felt like I wasn't good enough. So it was the same stories every single day that led me to the point of ending up in the hospital in June 2017. Where basically I was eating a salad at home and all of a sudden started getting chest pain. And then I started hyperventilating. And then I went on WebMD to see what I have, which nobody should ever do because all of a sudden it's like, I'm going to die. And then I started having a full-blown panic attack. I went to the hospital, and it was really in that moment around end of June 2017 that when I got home, I was like, my life has got to change because I can no longer live this way, being so harsh with myself, judging myself every single day, feeling like I'm in this alone, constantly at a battle with life. So from that point, summer of 2017 was when I started dabbling into more Gabby Bernstein books. I started reading Light is the New Black by Rebecca Campbell, which literally just opened up my soul. And then fast forward to a year later, I was starting to get more into self-development. And I would say like really that push full force into the spiritual world was when I joined Gabby's Spirit Junkie Masterclass. That was the summer of 2018. That's when I came across Kundalini mantras for the first time. And when I heard Om Namo Gurudev Namo, it was almost like same thing, like something opened up in my soul where I was like, I need to listen to this every day. So went on Spotify, listened to Kundalini mantras on repeat, didn't know what they meant, but they just made me feel really good. And at the same time, I was just like navigating through a lot of personal shifts, like with leaving another relationship, all that kind of stuff. And then in that summer was when it was very clear to me. I was also reading Power of Now, other great books. And it became so clear that although my background has been in digital marketing, when I started in the online world, I was only doing Instagram marketing, coaching on social media marketing. I was like, I'm born here to do something so much bigger beyond just talking about social media strategies. So that's kind of how I fell into my journey. I would say definitely involving a lot of rock bottoms, which these days I kind of celebrate when I hit those points because I'm like, that means I'm only going to grow from here.
Did you go to the one in New York City, the spiritual?
I actually did it online, but I really wanted to go to the one in person. Couldn't make it.
Well, that's the one I went to.
Yeah.
I went to the one June in 2018, and same thing.
Oh, that's so cool. So we're like basically on the same period.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was like, oh my God, no way. That's kind of like I had gotten back into Kundalini Yoga after that. Yeah, that's so interesting. So are you a teacher or you just practice?
Yeah, so I'm actually wrapping up my teacher training in the next 3 months. So I'm currently in my level 1 training under KRI. So it's been really awesome to just fully dive deeper into the practice because I've been practicing on my own for the last year and a half or so. And it was really interesting because even after I kind of dabbled into Kundalini from Gabby, the funniest thing was around September, October 2018, all of a sudden, everywhere I went, it was like Kundalini Yoga was everywhere. I randomly got invited to a house party where I met a Kundalini Yoga teacher, and she was telling me about sadhana. She's like, oh, you should come with me to the studio. And I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. But no matter when I opened Facebook, I would get like these random ads or posts about like Kundalini challenge, go on Instagram, would stumble upon like a Kundalini business mentor. And so it was just everywhere at once where I couldn't deny it. And so when I started to do the practice, really had that experience experience for myself, it became so clear for me that I'm not just meant to practice it, but I'm really meant to be a teacher.
Mm-hmm. And how did the NLP come into it?
The NLP came into it. It was actually a pretty funny story because my old boss at L'Oreal actually was the first person to tell me about NLP because she saw I was getting into the personal development stuff. She's like, oh, by the way, have you heard of NLP? I think you would be into it. And she always laughs now because she was kind of like, NLP was the reason you ended up quitting and leaving me. So what I ended up doing just like while I was still at L'Oreal was I took my NLP level 1 certification. And during that experience, it just really opened my mind to the importance of the subconscious mind. I didn't understand back then, like how we have all these subconscious programs from childhood, how we absorb things. And that's how we kind of became the person that we are. Understanding how our perceptions shape our reality and the way that we're able to alter it using tools like hypnosis literally blew my mind. And so what was really interesting was at the same time that I was kind of starting into NLP was also when I found Kundalini Yoga about the end of 2018. And I didn't really realize, I would draw all these kind of like diagrams trying to understand what was going on. And it wasn't until like about maybe 8 or 9 months ago that I finally understood that the link between everything that I have been guided to do is the subconscious mind. So how NLP comes into play, I think, is just really helping us create change at the subconscious level, which is really the level that determines, therefore, who we are, who we see ourselves as, our identity. The identity ripples across the thoughts that we have, the beliefs that we have, the actions that we take, the feelings that we have, the emotions, and therefore, all of these things I see tie into our energetic vibration. You know, bringing in the spiritual element, this is the signal that we send out through our electromagnetic field, through our aura, and therefore it determines what we attract back in. So it's really cool. I think NLP comes into play very well with Kundalini Yoga to really help us shift at a deeper level.
Yeah. I learned about NLP from Tony Robbins because he's really into that.
Yeah, he's awesome. I love him.
I like him too. A lot of people think he's annoying, but
I know it's a real hit or miss. You either love him or like you're like can't deal.
I went to a full moon circle on Monday, and I was telling them that I went to Tony Robbins a year ago. So last year, they were like, "Oh, I hate that guy." I was like, "Whoa, feelings." But I think him and Gabby Bernstein are great in that they have this like huge scale appeal to people, and they're kind of like the gateway drug, right?
Yeah, you know, actually something so funny that I have to show you on my vision board. Give me a second, I'm gonna grab it. Hold on. Okay, so this is going to make you laugh because, so I met Gabby in person in 2017 and I took a photo with her and I photoshopped Tony into the photo because this since became the vision. Like I would tell my friends and people, like, I want to be the child that Tony Robbins and Gabby Bernstein never had.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
The Asian daughter.
Actually, and it's so funny because like when people see this photo and they come to my house, they almost like they stop and they pause. They're like, wait a minute, is this real? Because the photo with me and Gabby is real, and I just Photoshop Tony in.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Actually, I think I really gravitated towards your content because I do believe that science and spirituality, there's a place for it, because I think that it's all related, but I think people have a hard time grounding into spirituality sometimes. So I think like talking about the subconscious mind and the more scientific view, I think it's easier for people to understand.
Yeah.
So, you're like wait, I just want to read your Instagram bio because I think it's so interesting. So you're a cosmic life and biz mentor. I'm like, cosmic life, yes, sign me up. 24 NLP, Kundalini Yoga, energetic alchemy, guiding lightworkers to remember their potential, infinite potential, and quantum manifest a lit life and brand. Okay, so what is 24 NLP?
Oh, 24 is just because I'm 24 years old and
Oh,
NLP just kind of came after.
oh my God. Okay. I was like, what is that like a level of NLP?
No, that's two separate things. I've actually never been asked that. I wonder if people wonder like whether or not it's the same thing.
I'm like, how many levels? Okay. I get Kundalini Yoga. Tell me about energetic alchemy.
Yeah, for sure. So, energetic alchemy is basically a modality that I created, integrating all the stuff that I've learned about shifting our energy and our vibration. So, it's basically grounded into quantum physics knowledge that everything, when we break it down, is made up of subatomic particles. And essentially, we're all just made up of energy. The way that I like to think about it, it's almost like, the way that we see a movie. When we see a movie, it's like the seamless scene that's playing. But realistically, if we're looking at the film, if we're looking at the file of it, it's like a bajillion frames flashing at the same time, one after another. And that's exactly what physical reality is that everything that's solid is essentially subatomic particles vibrating very quickly to create the illusion of a physical reality. So what I believe that when it comes to manifesting our desired reality, beyond just working at like a physical level of like what action do we need to take, we need to look at shifting our energy. And of course, NLP and Kundalini Yoga help us with that. But there's also other energetic tools such as EFT tapping, which I include in energetic alchemy, and other ways such as just learning how to be more mindful, learning to pay attention to where your emotions are at on the energetic vibration scale, picking consciously a new and better thought to guide yourself up on the scale. That's what energetic alchemy is all about, is developing the awareness of where your energetic vibration is at and having the tools to shift your vibration and therefore become a match for what you desire.
Thank you for explaining that. So it's your own special sauce.
Yes.
Okay, this is a question that everybody wants to know. What are the steps, in your opinion, in your alchemy to quantum manifestation?
Ooh, I love this. Okay, so step number one, I would say, is obviously understand what you want, right? This is like number one manifestation, is to get clarity on what it is that you actually desire. The way that I like to think about it is not just kind of like listing out one thing like, oh, I want this kind of house, I want this kind of partner, I want this kind of job, I want this kind of business. It's really about understanding what are the different areas of your life, which I call your different life ingredients, right? So it could be family and relationships, it could be purposeful business or career, health and fitness, etc. So essentially we have 9 main areas of our life. So we really want to understand, first of all, what is our bigger vision? What is that ideal way that we want to live our lives? That's step number one. From there, having clarity on your vision, you would break it down to understand, what desires do I need to manifest in order to live my vision? And therefore, you begin to gain clarity on what are the things that I truly want. Because sometimes I think that, especially in the realm of social media these days, we can see people having this thing, this person traveling, this person being a digital nomad. And all of a sudden we're like, oh, I want that too. But then we realize that it's really like this process of desires diffusion, as I call it, where we end up wanting to get things that we don't truly want. So step number one is to get clear on your vision, encompassing all the different areas of your life, and really making sure that your desires are aligned with what you desire. The second step is to understand what are the blocks that have been holding you back. So really understanding any limiting beliefs, any limiting identity that you might have held on to. It's really important that once we understand our desires, we also look at who is the person who is living that life. What is their identity like? And from there, you can start to understand, am I currently being this person? If not, how do I need to shift my identity? What kind of beliefs do I need to change? And that's really the step of what I call dismantling your old beliefs and reprogramming your subconscious mind. The next step from there is to understand, okay, when I have my desires, how do I want to be feeling? What are my desired emotions? And how can I begin to tap and experience those emotions right now? Because as you probably know, we only have this present moment now. And this moment is how we access the quantum realm, as I call it, how we bridge that connection with the universe, because everything is happening right now. The moment that we decide to embody being that person who already has the thing. The moment that we decide to really make it a commitment to experience our desired emotions right now, that's when we can begin to align our energetic vibration to match that energetic potential in the quantum realm, right? So for those of you who don't know too much about quantum physics, I won't go into too much detail. Essentially, the idea is to understand that anything that you want is possible. There are infinite possibilities at the energetic level. So by reprogramming our subconscious mind, by letting go of limiting beliefs that don't serve us and understanding what beliefs we want to adopt instead, and also just making it a commitment to feel your desired emotions right now, to be that person who already has what you desire right now, you begin to attract in your desired reality. You begin to attract in your desires and also that bigger vision that you have been aligning with. The most important thing is to embody. I cannot emphasize that enough. The way that I like to think about it, you know, we have like the old model of manifestation, which is that when I have something, then I can do something else and then I can be happy, right? You probably heard of that model in the past. The way that I like to think about manifestation overall, and specifically quantum manifestation, which is this process of understanding that you have never been separate with what you want. What you desire already exists. And it's about, in this moment now, you embody the identity of the version of you who has it. You do the things that that version of you does, and therefore you begin to manifest what you want. So it's about the being first. It's about aligning with that desired reality, although it may not be happening yet in your physical reality, but deciding to embody that in your being. And then from there, I think the last step is really letting it go, trusting that things are happening for you in the back, that the universe has your back, and acting on those intuitive nudges and taking massive action. I think sometimes where people get confused with the law of attraction is like, they're like, yeah, the secret told me to ask, believe, and receive. So I asked, I believe it's going to happen. Let me just sit here and wait and I'm going to receive it, right? But it doesn't work like that. When we put out our intention and we amplify the desired emotion, yes, that is going to trigger things to happen in the quantum energetic realm. But because we live in a third dimensional reality, we still need to meet it halfway. We still need to take the action. But taking action doesn't mean forcing, doesn't mean hustling, doesn't mean like working yourself down. It means staying inspired, tapping into alignment, which is making sure that you're taking action from a place of feeling really good, and listening to all the guidance, looking out for the signs, recognizing the synchronicities, and taking action from a place that feels really amazing to you. And the last part, of course, is to receive, because as you just start to make feeling good your daily priority, it's only a matter of time before you receive what you've asked for. So that's kind of my quantum manifestation process.
I love it. I practice the same thing, the same steps.
Mm-hmm.
Except the hardest step for me is not forcing and not overdoing it. Because that is like my way of controlling. And I'm like, I have to do everything possible to make it happen. And that's been really like more the feminine of surrendering has been really hard for me.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely something that I've struggled with a lot as well, especially with my upbringing. You know, my parents have always told me, like, you have to work harder. You have to work harder than anyone else. And it's something that I'm still working on letting go of. I think the coolest thing for me is just like really committing to do things differently and then witnessing the change. So even over the last 2-3 weeks, I've been really creating a new relationship with time, because in the past I would be really stuck in this conversation of like, there's never enough time, there's not enough time, I have to do more, I have to hustle. The funny thing is that in the last 2-3 weeks, I have really prioritized meditation, just doing my Kundalini Yoga. And it's like, I see the opportunities coming in, I see the abundance flowing in, and I'm like technically working less than I normally do. And just kind of witnessing that shift outside is really magical.
Mm-hmm. So for people who, with myself included, when it's really hard to trust the universe and it's hard to believe, what are your ways that you like do you believe in synchronicities and angel numbers? Like, how do you stay in the flow of belief?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So, yeah, the first part is I do believe in synchronicities and I would always ask for signs. 1111 has kind of been like my favorite sign. Ever since I started communicating with the universe using angel numbers and signs, it's like I see it. And it's crazy because sometimes when the numbers come, you've probably had this experience too, where it's like, it's not going away. Everywhere I go, everywhere I look, the numbers are coming. So, definitely asking for a sign and asking for guidance is something that I do. When it comes to trusting overall, I think it's really like a muscle that we have to work. Sometimes what I found is just that at the end of the day, if it's something that we cannot control, what's the point of trying to exert control and worry about something that we cannot shift? That's what I've come to realize, because in the past I would worry about a lot of things. I'm like, I want this to happen. Like, I cannot trust that it's not going to happen this way or whatever. But I realized that at the end of the day, if me doing that is not going to change the outcome anyways, why don't I just focus on what can I control in that situation? And I would just make it my priority to do that. For example, if it's like, let's say, I don't know, like trying to get into a relationship, I cannot control whether or not someone is going to want to be with me, but what I can control is that I can be my best self. I can be taking care of myself. I can go out and meet people. I can be my best energy. So those are the things that I would prioritize. I think at the end of the day, what's also really helpful is just looking back to the past and looking at, especially when have you gone through challenges, like those moments, those rock bottoms where you're like, nothing's going to get better, like everything's kind of like being a mess. And actually now, once you have like perhaps a couple of months down the road, or maybe even a year or two down the road, actually looking back to see, wait a minute, how did that event actually lead me to exactly where I'm meant to be? Because once again, you're starting to use evidence in your own life to be like, wait a minute, if that really bad thing happened, but I got out of it and I ended up with this new opportunity, with this new relationship, with this new job, whatever that is, then that's proof for me that I am being supported. So I think the more that we do that, the more it just helps us to shift into that state of trusting. The other thing that has really helped me, especially in the earlier stages of my spiritual journey, was looking into A Course in Miracles, something that I also picked up from Gabby. And I remember that she shared this quote from A Course in Miracles that says, fear is a sure sign that we're relying on our own inner strength, I believe is the quote. And that quote, it was crazy because when I heard it for the first time, it was like something just clicked inside me. I was like, any single time I feel fear, any single time I feel like I can't trust, that I need to control for the fear of something not going right, that is a sign that I am relying on my own inner strength. And I don't have to do that. It was like the first time where I realized that there's actually a different way. I can trust in something bigger. And so what I always kind of go back to now is that whenever something not so great happens, or even if something doesn't happen as fast as I want it to, my new mantra would be, I'm really excited to see how this is happening for me. Like, I know this is happening for me. Not sure how yet, but I know it is. So really just getting into that state of certainty of always being supported.
Yeah, that's really hard to do when it's really something shitty.
Yeah, it definitely is. Trust me.
I'm like, why?
I know. Yeah, no, I could even tell you like a quick story around that because, excuse me. So last year, after I left L'Oreal, I went to Bali. My plan was to stay in Bali for 2 months. It was something that I've been manifesting for the last year and a half since I started doing like the online business stuff. So I went to Bali and I left my cat with my ex-boyfriend to take care of. And then, so the funniest thing was 10 days in, I was like having the time of my life, sipping my coconuts, going to the beach, like working digital nomad, smoothie bowls every day. He told me, like, he called me like one evening, he's like my cat Bella, he's like, Bella's missing. I'm like, what do you mean Bella's missing? So my cat had ran away 10 days into my trip. And my cat is my life.
Yeah.
Like she and I have been together for like 4 years now. And like she has, like, I live alone here in Montreal. My family is still in Vancouver. So she's family to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I lost it. And I even tell my friends now, like that pain was more painful than any heartbreak I've ever experienced in my life. And in that moment, I remember I was just like, what do I do now? I'm in Bali. My cat is lost somewhere in Montreal. But it was the same thing where I realized that this was a test from the universe. This was time to practice what I preach, because I've been talking about trust, like just trust you. It's all happening for you. And it was like, here you go. Now practice what you preach. And I remember even initially I was like obviously really upset, but what I've learned through that process and what I really experienced was, let yourself process the emotions. When things are difficult, it's okay. Feel it instead of trying to push it away. It's so important for us to validate our feelings, to live through it. Once we experience it, we can create that space to be like, okay, what meaning am I now choosing to give to this event? For me, I literally said, I don't know why this is happening, but I know it's happening for me. I know. So from that space, I was like, okay, what can I do now? What is in my power is I ended up canceling the rest of my trip, changed my flight to go back to Montreal. I had nowhere to live. I had to crash on someone's couch. It was a bit of a mess, but all I focused on was getting my cat back. I've never visualized harder and manifested harder in my life. And the craziest thing was she was gone for 8 days. All of a sudden, when we were looking for her in the neighborhood, we saw graffiti on the wall that says Bella. There was one that even said Bella with the word home under.
Whoa.
It's wild. It's wild. I still have photos I can share with you after. It was just like, at that point when I saw that, I'm like, there is no way the universe does not have my back. Like there's no way. So just getting those signs helped to fuel my, my certainty in that. And lo and behold, like by the 48th hour, like that I got back to Montreal and I was looking for her, she showed up in the middle of the night when I was looking.
Wow.
So it's crazy how these things work. And after that, I was like, yes, I passed. I've like fully embodied how to trust.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said that, I think it was step 2 where you said you had to, change your mindset, look into your subconscious mind, which I think is also a really hard thing to do because a lot of that shit is dark,
Yeah.
What are the ways that you do that? Is it through NLP, Kundalini Yoga?
Yeah, so I personally like to work with them together. So I think in Kundalini Yoga, as you know, we have some really great meditations and kriyas to really help us clear out our subconscious mind and begin to tap into infinity. That's one of my favorite ways, is to really begin to build that connection with the cosmos, where through experience, there is no way but for me to be supported through this journey. From an NLP perspective, to your point of like working through the dark stuff, yeah, it's going to be heavy. I remember when I first started doing it, I would be like crying as I'm journaling. I would have very difficult conversations with my parents, just learning how to forgive, learning how to let go of things. I think the biggest thing is just understanding why you're doing it. Right? Why is it important for you to do it? How is that going to add to your life? And at the same time, it's kind of like what Tony Robbins says, like you also need to get to your pain threshold. So understanding, how is this going to keep on holding you back in your life if you don't do it, if you don't commit to it? So that's what I've kind of done as I went through the process, was to understand why is it important and what will I miss out on. For me, the biggest thing was I'm going to miss out on living out my purpose and creating an impact in people's lives the way that I know I can if I let these limiting beliefs keep on holding me back. And then from there, I would say is just like really recognizing and knowing that it's a lifelong journey. Like for us as humans, it's just normal that we're never going to get rid of all this stuff. We're going to have limiting beliefs come up. We're going to have negative thoughts, but it's about, once again, that commitment to yourself. It's like in the Course in Miracles, we say that a miracle is simply a shift in perception from fear back to love. So it's about just being willing to shift from fear back into love every single time. And as we go through the practices, which for me, from an NLP perspective, I love to use what is called the meta model, which is essentially a series of questions designed to help you fill out deleted, distorted, and generalized information. So for example, when we say like, I'm not good enough, we're deleting who we are comparing ourselves to, right? You're not good enough compared to whom. So I would really question some of these beliefs, understand their cause, and then really choose to write a new belief and embody that. And that's where tools like hypnosis and EFT tapping can come in handy. I would say like my biggest piece of advice as you start to move into this journey is really hold space for yourself to know that it is a lifelong journey. You don't have to have it all figured out. Like I still am nowhere near close to having it all figured out, and definitely inviting in help and support wherever you need.
Yeah. Okay. So did you read that book, The Course in Miracles? Because it's confusing as fuck. I'm like, I
It's
can read
dense.
this.
Yeah.
I don't get this.
Yeah, no, I personally couldn't read the whole thing. I've tried and I went through like quite a bit, but I was just like, this is too much. So I read most of Marianne Williamson's books, A Return to Love, The Law of Divine Compensation. A lot of Gabby Bernstein's books touch upon A Course in Miracles. I also bought a book called A Course in Miracles Made Easy, which is kind of like Cliff Notes. It's great, it works.
I read this book by Stan Grof. Do you know Stan Grof?
No, I don't.
He created holotropic breathwork, but he was also
okay, yeah, I've heard of that.
also into psychedelics, and he actually in his book he talks about the woman who wrote A Course in Miracles and how she completely channeled that from source. And I'm like, that's why I don't understand it.
Yeah, the language is very confusing.
It's some kind of like light language. Like it's really hard for me to understand.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have so many questions. I'm trying to like write it down, but I like my mind is like all over the place. How do you personally keep your vibration high? You know, because like I feel like the manifestation and all of this is like really important to keep it high, but being human is hard. Like you see all the shit that's going on and like the food that we eat. And how do you personally do that?
That's a really great question. So I would say for me, having a personal alignment practice, a personal daily alignment embodiment practice is really important because I create that space for myself to really tune inwards every single day. So these days I like to spend between an hour to an hour and a half and sometimes 2 hours in the morning to meditate, go inward, journal, listen to my hypnosis audios, etc. So that sets the tone for the rest of my day. It's really important to have this space for yourself. I think to your point of like, there's a lot going on in the world. If we don't go inward first when we start our day and we just begin our day by looking at the news, listening to the news, or like just going on social media, it's really easy for us to get caught up in the outside world and let what's happening on the outside affect the way that we are feeling on the inside. So I make it a commitment to start every single day tuning inward and getting intentional about my feelings. The other thing is that I think practicing radical self-acceptance and practicing radical acceptance for all is really important for keeping your vibrations high, because that includes accepting the fact that it's okay when your vibration is not high. Yeah. Right? Because when we are in denial, when we are in resistance, when we get into these low moments and we get frustrated and mad at ourselves for being upset and sad, you're only going to perpetuate that negative cycle. So in those moments, I've really been practicing accepting myself. Whenever I'm frustrated, whenever things don't go wrong or don't go right and things are going wrong, it's like, it's all well and good. It's okay. Even as I'm having a low day, I remind myself that I'm a cyclic being. There are days that are going to be great. There are days where I might just get random anxiety. Sometimes it might be mine. Sometimes it's probably not even mine. I'm probably just absorbing it from somewhere. And that's okay. So really just accepting yourself and accepting situations and other people as they are is so freaking key. Because in the past, I would really much be in denial and resistance. I'll be like, I don't like the way things are. Like, I want it to be this way. I want to control. I want to change. But now I've really come to realize that change happens as a byproduct of when we accept first. And just overall, especially for things that we cannot control, what's the point, once again, of trying to exert control, of worrying, of stressing out over it? Accept what is. And from that place of acceptance, you then have the headspace and that ability to look forward and see what is the next best action step. So those are like my biggest pieces of advice, is definitely to tune inward first in the morning. No matter how much time you have, I mentioned that, most days I try to aim for like an hour to 2 hours, but there are days like this morning, I woke up at 8:30. I was like, well, I guess today it's only going to be half an hour or like 20 minutes, and that's okay. But it's just making it a commitment to always come back inside.
Amazing. What does the hypnosis look like? And do you do it when you're going to sleep and when you are waking up? Because I know that's when your brain is in like theta waves.
Yeah, so with hypnosis, the way that I like to do it, there are some hypnosis audios that I've purchased in the past from other people, so I would listen to those occasionally. What has been really powerful is recording my own hypnosis audios. So I have one which I called Quantum Future Embodiment, and what it does is that it future paces me into having everything that I want in my desired reality. So what I do there is, by getting my brain waves down to theta and beginning to rehearse what life looks like, what I would see, what I would hear, what I would feel, what I would smell, what I would taste. Just essentially, what does my life look like? Who is the person that I am being? What new actions am I taking? The more that I rehearse that in the state of being in trance, being in that hypnotic state, the more I am creating new wiring in my subconscious mind. So what ends up happening, like through scientific research that people like Dr. Joe Dispenza has done, is that when we can condition our mind and our body to believe that something has happened, the brain reflects that, right? We can change the structure of our brain. We can change our neural pathways. And the coolest thing is that when we can fully convince ourselves that something is happening or has already happened, and we are that person, that means that subconsciously we have the answer of how we get there. So that's like the perfect way to start off your day, is by embodying your desired reality, knowing that it's happening, and then asking yourself, okay, what do I choose to do today? Who do I choose to be? So I really love doing that. And of course, it depends on the day. Some days I might do that. Some days I might be like, I just want to do silent meditation. So it really depends on the mood of the day. When it comes to, doing it in the morning and at night, you're totally right about that, because the moment right before we go to sleep and the moment right after we wake up is when our brain waves are still pretty slow, because it's getting ready to sleep or just coming out of sleep. So it's highly recommended to do any sort of visualization, any kind of hypnosis audios during that time. However, it is important still to make sure that you are awake, because below theta, I believe after that is probably delta or gamma, I can't remember exactly, but we get to a state also where we call it deep sleep. When we're in deep sleep, nothing is going in, like your body's just kind of like out. So you can be listening to stuff, but if you're passed out and snoring, the suggestions aren't really going in.
So your audios, is it like, because I'm going to do this now, is your audios like, Ella, you are walking in your dream home and it looks really big and white? Like, is it like that?
No, so what I don't really actually use my name. That's actually a really interesting point. The way that I do it is I put in the imagery, yes, with the present tense, but I also layer in a lot of hypnotic language. So because I'm trained in NLP, so what I would do is a lot of stuff. There's so many different language patterns that I'm obsessed with, but some of the key ones that I can share with you is, for example, it is now becoming easier and easier for you to do this because this happened. Or, for example, it's like, as you have now stepped into your desired reality every single day, you can so easily and effortlessly wake up and begin to meditate. And because you are meditating and taking care of yourself first, this means that all of your desires can now easily flow to you. You kind of see how I'm taking different things, writing it in the present tense, but linking them together, because what this starts to do in your mind is that it starts to bridge things where it's like, okay, if I am easily and effortlessly meditating, then that means that all these things that I want are going to easily and effortlessly come into my life. The funny thing is that subconsciously, we are doing this already, but we, by default, do it for the negative. right? Think about it. We're like, well, because this person didn't answer my text, that means that I'm not good enough. Right? Those are the things that we are doing on a regular basis. So through hypnosis, the way to use the languaging is to really just take the patterns that we habitually use to perpetuate negative stories and program in the positive suggestions instead.
I love talking about this shit. It's just so exciting. No, because you could train your brain to get what you want.
Yeah,
And
it's
like
magical.
not enough people are talking about it. Well, at least like not enough people I feel know about this.
Yeah.
So this is the question I get a lot, and maybe you have a better answer, but how do you easily and effortlessly manifest money?
I would say that with that, it's definitely going to depend on the person as well. I would say the overall process that I found to work is, first of all, definitely get clear about how much money you want and what you're calling in. When we are calling in the money, once again, it's important to understand for what purpose. Why do we want the money? And ultimately, we want the money in order to feel a certain way. So taking that in mind, getting specific about the amount, understanding the purpose of it, understanding how we want to feel, same idea. It's about embodying those desired emotions right now. So for example, it's about embodying abundance. Something that I found really helpful for myself in this process, when I'm trying to manifest money and I want to feel abundant, I've come to realize that, wait a minute, financial abundance is only one form of abundance. So I am already abundant in so many other ways. So what are the daily abundance that I can recognize and celebrate? Because the more that I can appreciate abundance in my life, then the more I'm going to call in the financial abundance. And I think the last part, of course, same thing, is that we need to take the action. A quote that I heard from someone, I can't remember who now, is that yes, like we want the money and the abundant energy to flow in, but we still need to have the gateways in order for it to flow to us. Yeah. I've seen people where they're like, oh, the money's not coming in, but it's like, you haven't really sold anything. You haven't created an offer. You haven't talked about what you're doing. I'm like, I'm sorry, but like, I think sometimes we get a bit caught up in like those stories of like, yeah, you get random checks in the mail. Like I've had that happen to me and it's great, but we also can't live our lives just depending on random checks to be in the mail. Like you still need to create those opportunities for the money to flow in. And the other thing that I personally love doing is chanting the Lakshmi mantra. That one is like works wonders. I'm not sure if you've tried it, but it's like super effective for me. It's like every single time I chant it, I'm just like, okay, get ready, like things are about to shift. And also the HUD meditation, the prosperity, this one also really effective. So those are some of the ways that has worked for me. I would say that it does depend from person to person because there's also the belief element, right? We have, so many of us have been brought up with different money beliefs, with like money doesn't grow on trees, it's hard to make money, or like if you have money, then that means that people won't like you. So depending on what beliefs you have, you will also need that additional step of just clearing out the old money programming and installing something new.
Awesome. So you offer your clients NLP, Kundalini Yoga, and you teach them basically what you just shared today, which is amazing, right? Is there anything else I'm missing?
No, I guess like the way that I like to do it, as well as I mentioned before, is that I'm so much about like the inner to outer transformation. So much of my work is focused on the inner work first, but I also am obsessed with like the outer work of branding, of social media marketing. That's kind of where my digital marketing background comes in. So I use NLP, Kundalini Yoga, and energetic alchemy to really help my clients and students recode their subconscious mind, to help them, create those new neural pathways, to send out a new energy signal to the quantum realm so that they can manifest in what they want. But at the same time, like we've been talking about, taking the action is so important. So I also love to support them from the place of getting clarity on their brand. It's something that I've been told that I kind of have a bit of a gift for, is that people can dump a bunch of ideas, like just pure gibberish to me, but I'm able to kind of like piece it all together. I'm like, this is your mission statement. And they're like, yeah, that's exactly what I meant. So that's something that I love to work with clients on, is really helping them build like what I call their multidimensional brands, really brand building from this place of understanding who you are as a person. Because what I find to be detrimental in the online business space sometimes is that we think that there are different cookie cutters that we should fall into. Like so-and-so is marketing this way, so-and-so shows up in their brand in this way. This is what I must say. This is the only type of stuff that I should be sharing about. But I think more and more as we are shifting into a whole new paradigm of just really authentically expressing our truth, it's so important that that comes across in our brand. It's just like same thing with what I'm doing. Is like, if I were to narrow myself down to like, I'm a mindset coach, it's like, wait a minute, then I shouldn't be talking about business stuff. Or if I were to be like, I don't know, a health coach, then wait a minute, like I shouldn't be talking about spiritual stuff because that's not related to nutrition or something like that. I think it's really important to merge things together. And instead of focusing on putting ourselves in a box, it's like tossing out the box, tossing out the cookie cutters, and just roll your dough however you want to roll it, right? However it works for you. So that's another element that I'm really passionate about.
You have a gift for it. It's aesthetically pleasing. Do you pay attention to like algorithms and like these Instagram hacks and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do. And what I think is really important is something that I do a lot is tracking my own analytics and being more mindful of what insights I am getting from my audience. Because I think it's important to keep up to date with like what's going on in the algorithms and the changes and stuff. But I also find that sometimes a lot of people, and myself included in the past, can fall in this trap of thinking that I need to follow this golden strategy. There's only one way to write good content, but that's not true, especially depending on your industry, depending on your audience. You know, something that works for my audience might not work for your audience and vice versa. So what I think is really valuable in addition to understanding algorithms is really to look at the data insights from your own content, to have conversations with your audience to understand, hey, do you want to see more of this or with that? And just to look at the analytics, because now with an Instagram business account, it's so easy for us. Every single post that we make, we understand the reach, we understand which hashtags work better. So I would say, yes, like understand the general trends, but it's so important to understand your own analytics.
I have to be better at that. I just create what I need, like what I channel. So I like get a download and then I just make the content. But I have to
No, but I think that's also so great. And sometimes like I think it's also just like finding that fine balance, right, between what we want to share and what other people want to hear. And what I've learned through like just learning copywriting and things like that is that we don't actually need to shift what we're offering either through a paid offer or through a content piece. Like what we have channeled through and what we want to share can remain the same. However, that initial hook is what needs to be tweaked to make sure that it appeals to the person, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So even, for example, if I'm talking about manifestation, right? Like I've channeled this amazing piece of information about manifestation, I can just put it out and perhaps some people might resonate with it. Or what I can do is I can reflect back on, okay, knowing my soulmate client profile, what is like the number one thing that they usually want to manifest? Let's say they want to manifest a freedom-based business. Then my first sentence could be something that pertains to that. Or in the beginning of my post, I can be talking about that, but then drawing in the thing that I actually want to talk about, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you have that initial hook that appeals to your audience, and therefore you can invite them in and give them the information that you want to share.
Yeah, that's such a good idea. I have to look back at my bio, because definitely yours worked, because I was like, what is all this cool like verbiage?
What is all this sorcery?
I have to ask her about this. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you would like to share before my last questions?
Let me think. No, I think we touched upon like a lot of my favorite topics, which I'm really excited about. I think like, I guess what I would really just reiterate is for everyone to remember that you are an infinite being. And that's something that I've been obsessed with these days, is just like connecting with infinity, connecting to the universe, the quantum, and understanding that we are all made up of the same things. We all came from the same place. We all came from the creator. So you have this infinite potential, this infinite creator power within you. And it's a matter of really making that commitment to experience it for yourself. So whatever you think is possible for you, it is possible for you.
But I think our job is to remind people of that, because so many people are still sleeping. They don't they don't remember how infinite they are.
Yes, I know. And that's something that's so exciting for me, I think, is like, you know, the work that we get to do is like, we get to be the lighthouse. We get to like just guide people and wake them up.
Yeah. Because like, I have to say, so I woke up way later than you. I don't know how you're only 24 and you're so woke. Do you get that a lot?
Yeah, I've been told that. They're like, you're only 24? What?
Seriously, like, and it just shows like how the consciousness has shifted so much in the last couple of years. But like, I only woke up like 3 years ago. In my 20s, I was like, you know, flying from the chandeliers, like not into any of the spirituality stuff. But I think when you're in that state, when you're not awakened yet, you don't understand what infinity means. You're like,
I know.
Like, what is that? Like, that's even hard for me to understand because it's so esoteric, you know?
Yeah.
But when you do connect to source and you get the synchronicities, that's when I'm like, oh, that's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely, it's really interesting because I was recently on a plant medicine journey, and the whole theme of it was infinity. And something that kind of came through, and I don't know exactly what source I was channeling from, but I was channeling something. And the piece of advice that came through was, how we help humans evolve is not by telling them what to do or what they should not do, but it's about guiding them to an experience of infinity inside them. I was like, man, that is so profound. It did not come from me. But that has since guided, honestly, even in the last 3-4 weeks since that journey, has guided me in just understanding what I want to be offering and how I want to be holding space for people. And for me, like, what I see is that, you know, through Kundalini Yoga, especially, we have that experience or that opportunity to guide people to an experience. And I think that's like the most magical part, is understanding that ultimately we're not here to tell people what they should believe in. We're not here to tell people what is the truth, but we're here to help people get to that point where they can realize it for themselves.
Yes. Wow. That was like, if you only heard that part, that was so profound.
I know.
Oh my God. Holy shit. Now my next question is gonna seem so like dumb to that. Well, I was gonna ask you three last questions. The first one is, what was the biggest or most amazing thing you've manifested? And then the second one is, what are you currently manifesting now?
Ooh, really great questions. I would say the first thing is probably the greatest thing to date. I would say is the clarity on my purpose. That has been huge. It absolutely transformed my entire life. I literally went from someone who didn't know what she was doing, who worried about everything and anything, like every single day, to the point where I ended up in the hospital. When I manifested that clarity on my purpose, like, that's why people ask me sometimes, it's like, how do you like keep on going, you know, even when your cat ran away, like all these things are like, you know, trying to bring you down, like, how are you still so positive? I'm like, because I have my purpose, because I know what I'm here to do. I see any challenges as just a way to prime me even more, to get me to become the person that I'm meant to be in order to live into my purpose even more. So that has been like the biggest thing, because it's just got me to like the state of excitement every single day. Like, I wake up, I love what I do. I love to discover more of like what I'm here to do and what I'm here to serve people with. So that's the number one thing. And what I am manifesting next right now, I would say now it's really about manifesting a next level to my leadership. So far I've been doing a lot of stuff online, just doing some like YouTube videos, live videos, Instagram content. I would say the next level for me is to manifest more speaking opportunities and more in-person events, because I've been told that my energy is very strong, especially in person. It's like I have a lot to say, and I'm just like, I love having in-person connection. So even right now, I'm not 100% sure what that looks like. I definitely want to be speaking on stages. I want to be running workshops and retreats and things like that. So I don't have full clarity. I'm working on that right now, but definitely stepping it into my next level of leadership and being able to hold space for people in person.
Like Tony Robbins level.
Yeah, that's like my dream. 10,000 people in a stadium.
Oh my God. Have you ever been to his events?
Yeah, I went to Unleash the Power Within November 2018.
Oh, I went just last year, and I just remember being really cold, not getting any sleep, and not eating very much.
Yeah. Or like even when you're eating, it's like $20 for a burger.
Yes. Oh my God. But did you do the walking on the coals thing?
I did.
Yeah.
It's magical.
It's magical. If I only went to that part, I got my money's worth, because just changing your mind to do that and making yourself do that is like everything. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that was really one of those experiences for me too, where I'm like, anything is possible.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure which one you went to, but I went to the one in New Jersey. And that night, especially after we walked on the hot coals, we also had to walk outside. And so it was raining, it was cold, there were like glass shards all over the ground, there were rocks. It was like really disgusting environment to walk on in general, let alone with no shoes, no socks, just bare feet.
Yeah.
And I was mind blown the next morning when I was like, washing my feet again. And I was like, okay, like I should probably expect some kind of cut at least. And I'm like, not a single thing. It's wild.
That happened. Well, I just remember, so I went to the one in LA in March, which was after the New Jersey one. I missed that one. And I just remember it was complete dark. It was black, and looking over side to side, and there were like endless rows of hot coals.
Yeah.
Being like, oh shit. This is happening. And then the guy was like, okay, what is your word? You know how you had to have your like hands? I was like, I can't believe this is happening. Oh my God. So funny. Okay, so last question is, it seems like you're woke and you're aligned to your purpose, but are you living your dream life, and what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I would say I am living my dream life. It's pretty wild. I was just like looking through a bunch of old journals from like a year and a half, 2 years ago. And I was like, holy crap, like the way that I would wake up in the morning, what I would do that I journaled about, I'm like, this is exactly what I'm living right now. I would say that what my dream life looks like to me, to be very honest, is that I am fully present, that I am enjoying every single moment of what I'm doing, spending time with people whom I love, and really having a great experience every single day where I'm happy, where I am experiencing those high emotions. Because the way that when I grew up, I was conditioned to understand or know what happiness meant was always something outside of me. It was like, when you get to university, when you get to a good university, then you'll be good. I went to university. I was still miserable. Then it was like, when you get this really great corporate job, then you're going to be good. I'm like, okay, got it. Still even more miserable. And so I realized, from then that chasing something outside of us in order to feel happy is never going to take you very far. So I would say that my dream life and my best life, which I am living now, is to fully be present, to fully just experience my desired emotions right now, and to trust that whatever I want to come is going to come. And that's by me being in my best energy today.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, my Canadian sister. You have like
Yes.
shared so many. I literally wrote down all these notes. Literally shared so much knowledge in such a short amount of time. And
Yay.
for anybody who wants to work with you, how do they find you?
Yeah, so you can find me over on Instagram at psmella, or you can also visit my website, psimella.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you
Awesome.
so much.
Thank you.
Hot dog.
Satnam.